Good morning, and thank you for keeping it Citizen Television. We really appreciate your time and company. Like I always say, we do not take it for granted that you woke up on this chilly morning in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. I don't know about the other parts of the country. Tell us, how are you this morning? How is the weather? Karibu sana to the social hour. We are so happy that you're here. Today we want to talk about something that we have observed in our society. There were days back in the days, when people used to believe in fighting for love, fighting for relationships. But then again, these days, nobody has the time, the strength, the energy, the motivation. I'm sure there are a few people who still do, but a majority feel like when it can't work, then let it go. So people just walk in and walk out of relationships the way they want, and that is developing a very concerning trend. So we want to talk about fighting for love, fighting for relationships, and why it's no longer happening. Where is the motivation? Why are people no longer, in this fight for making things work in their marriages, in their relationships? And I have a panel of amazing people who braced the cold to be here. Thank you, guys.
And the rain.
Karibuni sana, and the rain. We thank God for the weather, by the way. QT ameamua na yeye ana defy the odds.
Iko tu sawa. Unajua studio inakuanga watu wajuangi. Studio kuna kuanga na joto, lights and everything. But I'm glad to be here. I struggled. Safini ili struggle kwa mka leo. But nikasema Safini lazima atuone.
Nakwambia.
Na lazima Mr. Njosha nione. So big up Mr. Njosha. Good to see you guys.
Karibu sana, CJ.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Well, mine wasn't the struggle to wake up. It's just that, I have one of my sons I take to college every day as I come here, but then there's another one I needed to take to school. So we had to negotiate that with my wife.
What happens?
Yeah, because it looks like this is the more flexible one. You need to start paying me.
And he just did that. Oh my God. Will I afford?
Amekuweka.
Na ule CJ najua na portfolio. Will I afford? Let me think about it.
I like that.
Thank you.
Ken, tell us, how are you this morning?
I'm very fine. I'm not an early person, but I have purposed to be waking up early for this show. So thank you, CJ, for speaking on our behalf. As you consider paying him, usituache nyuma.
Nini umeniamulia leo asubuhi?
Solidarity forever.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Roberta is also going to be joining us shortly. Of course, we are all here, and we want to talk about, this whole trend that we have seen in the society, fighting for love, fighting for relationships. Why is it no longer happening? Let me begin with you, QT. There were days ulikuwa unaachwa, unaenda therapy, you break down, you're completely, you're a wreck, an emotional wreck, a physical wreck, if you may.
Yeah.
Ulikuwa unaenda counseling, ulikuwa una feel umeachika. These days
ukiachwa leo unajua asubuhi saa 8 uko na mtu mwingine. I think the world that our parents were raised in and the world that we were raised in no longer exists. You understand, like values kitambo zilikuwa mambo kama values, discipline. Nowadays, do we have discipline? Do we have even values? I know there are people who do. I'm not talking about the 100%. I'm just talking about the few that don't, because hata ukiangalia relationships za saizi, I mean seriously, yani watu wako tu Safi, unakuja tu mnaongea ni aje, kesho mko in a relationship, you don't even take the time. Ni venye Ken alisemanga tulianza wrong, we start the relationships wrong. Like venye unaanzia mali penye mnaanzia relationship, hamna hata mjaka chini ku discuss about anything. You guys have not even said hata mjakatiana. There's no dating anymore. So by the time unaanzana na mtu, you don't even care. You've not taken your time to actually know where the background for this person, where they've come from, who they are, what they believe in. Yani nowadays we don't take time. So by the time, alafu unajua pia kitambo venye mimi kuambia tulikuwa tutoka na suitcase nyumbani. Saizi hatutokangi na suitcase. Saizi ni unatolewa kwako ama anakuja anaishi kwako ama unaenda unaishi kwake. So hata mkiachana na msee unaona, what do I have to lose? Honestly, what do I have to lose? Unaachana na huyo msee, kesho nishachukua keja, nisharentisha nyumba, nishaendelea na maisha yangu. So I think dynamics zimechange. Kitambo women were not, I don't want to say not independent, but right now we are more independent than they were before. Unajua kina madhe wako na mambo mingi. Kina madhe walikuwa wametulia. Sasa sisi saizi already uko na job. Already uko na do yako by the time you're getting married. So saizi Saizi siwezi rudi kwa mamangu ati wazee wanikujia. Unajua kitambo watu walikuwa nakaa chini unakujia na wazee. Saizi hata chali yako anakuambia gawe ishia like yani hata venye anakuongelesha tu unashindwa sasa huyu ni nani. But kitambo kuna hiyo motivation ya kukaa.
Maybe huko kwa unataka kwenda.
Mimi sikuwa nataka kwenda by the way. Nilikuwa tu na joke. Kwani huko unajua jokes, you understand? So ni ile tu unasema wacha iishe. You realize this guy was hata hakuwa huko. So by the time you go, he doesn't even come back for you. So values, tuseme tu values may change and the world doesn't exist.
And we're not saying it's okay, guys. By
no, it's not okay.
We're not saying it's okay. We're just here to say it's happening. Why is it happening? And probably what do we need to do to change the trajectory of how things are happening in the society? We're not saying it's okay to walk out and let everything go. Roberta may to join. All classy there. Roberta, karibu.
Thank you so much. Today we're the ones who are bringing the color.
Nakwambia. Amidst this gloomy trend of people kuachana left, right, and center.
We have to make sure there's happiness and sunshine. Even on days like today.
Maybe love is a fight. How would you describe that phrase? Love is a fight.
I think it comes down to like love is a decision. The fight is in the action, in the doing word. Love ni verb. Watu wanaonanga tu ni noun alafu inaishia hapo. Like, I love you, I've given you love, I care about you. But love is like the deliberate action you take every day to make the people around you and the things around you feel your love. And you'll realize that when you love something, it starts to grow. And when you nurture something, you see yourself breathing life into it almost. So it's work. It's not something you can act like it's casual or it's normal. It just happens automatically. All sorts of relationships and all sorts of love needs a lot of intention, deliberation, action. So hata mtu akikwambia kupende umuulize where, how, I cannot see
practically.
Yes,
yeah.
It has to be, it has to be something you feel, even when you guys are fighting, when you're not together, when you're far away from each other. Consistency, hiyo action do inafanya mtu feel loved. Sometimes, you could be angry with someone you love and you guys could have a huge fight. But even in that moment, akunanga ile doubt ya sipendwi. You just know, it's just a fight, but we're going to be okay.
Ushaona mtu mwongeleshani, but una feel, maybe anasikia baridi, let me...
lazima. Hata kama tumekosana, ukifika home nakwambia the food is in the kitchen.
That is love. Anyway, Ken, I like what she has said about even when you're fighting. Na hapo ndio sasa tuko. Like, that is where the problem is. If your understanding of this topic, if you look at what the society is, where the society is going right now, what are your concerns about how people are handling, this whole issue of having disagreements in relationships? Because tukikosana kidogo, me left.
Number one, I strongly believe that it is not worth staying if there is no value being added to a relationship. Broken engagements are better than broken marriages. So if the relationship is not working, you can take a distance, some time off, but not to leave entirely. When I was growing up, we used to play football. Tulikuwa tunajitengenezea na makaratasi. We were learned how to fix. But the children of today don't know how to fix. They know how to replace. So the moment we do not show how people to fix, we do not show people how to go out of their way, that we have a fallback that even our parents somehow tell themselves, I wish I would have left rather than stay. And so they are not even ready to tell the children the worth of staying. It goes back to how have we been encultured? We have been encultured where parents overprotect their children nowadays. And so you have a fallback. You don't want to fight for what the value is. Or probably you are woke. That there are people who tell you, if things do not work, please leave. But they do not tell you, leave to where? The question we need to ask ourselves is, how many relationships are you going to jump into before one works? And the message is, if you see a reason to leave, you need to ask yourself, is there a purpose to stay? Because there must be a purpose to get into a relationship. But if you get into a relationship... Before you make
that decision of leaving, first of all, think about what are the motivations?
Yes. Why did we come together in the first place. But if we came together to assimilate with the community, our friends are settling together, so let's also settle together. You have nothing in common. If you lack commonality, then that relationship is as good as dead.
Okay, CJ, what are your thoughts? Kitambo kulikuwa na kikao ya wazee, delegation of elderly men coming to your home to beg the lady to go back to her house. Walikuwa wanakuja na fine and some goodies to come and be remorseful and say sorry. The ladies as well, there was like, we are no longer seeing those things. Friends would come in when couples are not talking and they would say, guys, by the way, you need to be serious. This relationship has to work. These days, we no longer see those friends. What happened?
It's the easy come, easy go kind of situation. The process of getting into relationships before was very intense. It was nearly like setting up the IEBC, you know. It's a whole process. It's you approach Bobby, she doesn't give you an answer immediately. She will go and consult with QT, she'll come to Safin, she'll talk to them. So there'll be a panel behind her decision. People weren't just going on and you meet your friend and she tells you, I have somebody. And the men as well. You know, I'd have to approach Ken and tell him, you know, I'm interested in this person, what do you think? So it was a very thought out way of doing things. And I think that's very key because you want to spend your life and time with this person. You need to think through it. We think through contracts at work. We think through the business contracts that we get into. Everywhere else where we're signing up stuff, we think through them. But when it comes to relationships, we just go with our feelings. And it's love at first sight, or we had chemistry, we had it going. You come from a social space, suddenly it's a sleepover, you're together, then it's move your things, we can save money by paying rent in one place instead of two. Like you're making very huge decisions based on the excitement that they're feeling at that particular point. So when this excitement leaves, there's nothing to hold them because there was no thought process to it. And then there was no support system around it. That's why you're saying now, we don't have those friends and the families that were coming in, because some people, even their parents, get to know that they have somebody from people who have seen their son or daughter on Facebook or in a certain place, and they're like, okay, so your daughter has somebody, congratulations, and your mom is calling you, Safin, you've not told me that you have somebody.
What is happening?
It's just how we begin these processes, and QT was, you know, quoting what Ken says, we start wrong. So if it's that easy to get, it will be so easy to get out of, because there's no value to this thing. You got it so easily. It's, if I buy something cheaply, I'll discard it easily. Yeah,
so if you work hard to get someone, then you'd feel like it will be a huge loss to actually lose them. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
These days, it's easy walk in, easy walk out.
Easy come, easy go.
Easy come in, easy go. I'm telling you. So that is where we are. Let's talk about, you know, this whole concept of starting wrong. What is it that, how have the dynamics changed for you, QT, if you look at how young people these days get so immersed in that excitement of beginning a relationship? What is it that concerns you about how that happens?
Nowadays, I think it's about the benefits. What am I getting?
Yeah.
Why am I coming into this relationship?
Why do people date these days?
Like, what am I getting from you? Like, am I getting financial support? Or if I have the financial support, I want the emotional support. Some people get in even for, you know, sexual benefits. It depends. Like, squeezing friends with benefits. Like, okay, sasa tumepatana na huyu boy. What can this man bring to the table? Because as I started by saying, women were more independent nowadays. Kitambo ilikuwa ni stability. That stability, I want kids. I want a man who can provide. I need financial support. But right now, if I'm woke, like quote unquote, if I'm woke and if I have my financial calendar iko sawa, kila kitu iko sawa. So najiuliza, okay, so what can this man bring to the table? What can he provide for me other than I am paying my rent already, I'm driving my car, I am working in a good company and I'm getting whatever it is I'm getting. So if this man is coming to this relationship, what are they bringing to the table? Because as I said earlier, Kitambo, they used to come to the boma. They actually come for you. Like it was a ceremony, it was a big thing. Nowadays, hata even our parents know that we are married, like through social media, as he said. Like sometimes hata uambii mzazi ulisha settle down 1 year later. Ama hata nilitoka kwa hiyo marriage.
You left your marriage
3 years and my parents don't know. So watu wanapiganga simu, hey, familia iko aje? How are you guys doing? And you know, such kind of things. And it's because of those things. Nowadays, there's no, wacha niseme, si ati there's no love, but hiyo value ya love ni kama ilienda chini, ni kama bei ya mapenzi ilienda chini. So saizi ni bill mpya imekuja. So nowadays we don't even like hiyo kukatiwa. Unaona vile CJ amesema kitambo ulikuwa unakatiwa manzi. Mtu anakukatia a whole year. Sasa siku hizi unaambia una play hard to get. You know, you understand how people tell you, oh, you're playing hard to get, so you think I have the time to actually do this. Na ataachana na wewe. Akikuja kukatia una interest. The next day you'll actually see him even with one of your friends, like he's just there like ana flat na one of your friends. So nowadays wacha tu niseme value your love ni kama bei imeenda chini and people don't really know that. And hiyo story ya kudate, like as I said, mbona tukai chini tujuane Safin? Why are we not sitting down and getting to know the person? Why are we not sitting down and talking about the finances? Who's going to pay the rent? Do we even want to have kids? What do we want in this household? Your religion. Hata sijui unaendaga church ama kama uendagi. I don't even know what is going on with your life, but I'm just ready to this man will provide for me financially. Ama this chick, huyu atakuwa mama mzuri. This one will take care of the kids. She looks like she's a trophy wife. Huyu ataka nyumbani, atanilelea watu hii. So it's no longer about the values, and I'm sorry to say that we've lost that. Yani hiyo kitu inaenda ikikuwa lost in generations. I know there's genuine love out there, and it's wrong mali pali tumefika. This society, we need to talk about these things like watu hawajali. Yani hiyo ndio kitu yenye iko Safin. Watu hawajali. If you can actually walk away from a marriage, na sisemi ni vibaya ama ni vizuri, I am not the judge for that, but if I can walk away right now, marriage ya 13 years, tuko na watu kama watatu ama wawili, what does that tell you, Safin? Like I'm not ready to sit down and fight. It's concerning.
Actually, I was looking at some text that was saying that if we compare Kenya with other countries the developed nations, age of separation or divorce kwetu is a bit different. While the other people, the younger couples separate more, in this side of the world, it is the older couples that separate more. Wale wamekaa kwa ndoa for long, wale wako na watoto wakubwa. So it's actually, you don't understand what's happening. But you need
to ask yourself, is it that they are now separating or they separated before, only that they had some common aspects to do, maybe parenting. They chose to stay together for the sake of their children. Until now, the children are out. The relationship was long dead, only that we are making it formal. Yeah? Maybe it is a formal process, but the relationship ended kitambo sana.
All right. So you said something very important when you were starting about we are not taught how to fix. In the context of a relationship, what's fixable, what's not fixable? Like before you make that decision to just step out, what is it that you're supposed to use as principles to guide you on whether this is fixable? Because kuna zingine, by the way, it's broken. Yeah, but then you don't need to throw every relationship away. There are some that can be salvaged. So what are those things that can guide us to really make that decision wisely?
Number one, I would say, get to the intent of coming together. You see, like the people who separate because the children are out, their intention was to parent. That is not a good thing to start a relationship with. That we've come together because the lady is pregnant. If she's pregnant, the baby will mature one day and she will go. So don't come together because of the sake of the children. Come together, number one, because you're mature. I think what we are lacking today is an aspect of maturity where people can be able to sit down together and say, is it about finances? Kitty has said an interesting thing. What are you bringing to the table? Everybody needs to bring something to the table. And nobody can just say, I am a receiver, I am not a giver. So finances needs to be discussed in principle. Number two is about our support system. CJ has brought a very interesting point that it involved a community. Even today, it involves a community that is immature. That you're seeking counsel from your friends who are ready to tell you, huyo wachana na wachana huyo mse. Yeah? The counsel of elders today is an immature one. So you need to get a mature council of elders.
Or social media.
Yes.
Do you know people who have relationship issues and they post it on social media expecting to get advice from people they don't know?
PDA, because it has really regenerated. We are now taking our relationships online so that we want to get accolades. What are people talking about us? But forget about what people are talking about you. What are you talking about yourselves? Do you have time to sit down? I believe there is nothing that is irresolvable. Everything that comes into a relationship can be solved. It calls for the maturity of both of you to be able to sit together. Deal with your anger. Put anger aside. Anger is danger is a letter away. If you just do not deal with your anger. And number two, if you're hurting, and I am able to trigger you with what I have done, it is not what I have done that has triggered you. It is unresolved issues that you have. Can you resolve past imaginary or real issues that you have never dealt with, so that you do not use the example of the past into the present? There are people who might fight their partner because they never resolved it with their exes. Your ex should be out of the context of your relationship. And finally, I would say, 3 is a crowd in a marriage or in a relationship. Stop involving people who do not matter. If you have to escalate it to the third person, can you choose who the third person is and somebody who is going to help you?
All right, good points there. I don't know whether anyone has, anything to add, Roberta, in terms of before you choose to let it go. Yeah, is it fixable? What are those things that can guide you to stay, choose whether to stay or to leave? Because kwizi ni kutoka tu, ku left group before you even think about it, and even the years you have invested, the emotions,
Yeah. Mini ambassador wa happiness, na joy, na peace, na love, na happiness. Those are the things I love people to feel, and those are the feelings I love to spread everywhere I go. So that is consistent for me. And a lot of people love to say, don't be too emotional when you're making decisions. But I like to say, when you're making decisions, it is a must that you include your emotions. Include your emotions as well as logic. All intelligences matter. Usifikirie tu na head, useme ati hati yako haimata, ati unajua feelings na kuanga na feelings. Because it is your emotions that sometimes inform. Sometimes something could make sense on paper, but it's making you hurt. It's making you feel a lot of pain. It is emotionally draining you. But because we are told every day, almost everywhere we go, do not be too emotional. You're too emotional when you're making decisions. We try to put the emotions on the back burner, and then we just make decisions logically, quote unquote. I say quote unquote because most times when people say they're being logical, they're just avoiding empathy. Wanalenga hiyo part ya feelings where, it's important. Ask yourself, are you happy? Are you feeling loved? Are you feeling good? Do you love the situation? Is it giving you joy and peace? Because your feelings are also very, very important. So I'd say the situations that are not fixable, of course, are the situations that are abusive, of which is the lack of these things I've just mentioned. If it's abusive, there's no happiness, there's no peace, there's no joy, there's no love. So if you're in any abusive situation, do not even call your therapist. Do not even call CJ.
You're saying people
do not even
not
call
consult.
Ken. Yes, you call them after.
Have you just diluted my
after
profession?
You've left. No, you call them after you've left, because sometimes you call your pastor. Your priest will start telling you, marriage ni kuvumilia. Sometimes you'll call your parents. They'll tell you, marriage, you have to stay. People love each other. Na unatwangwa kila siku kama drum. And sometimes, I was talking to a GBV and child protection specialist a week ago, and he was telling me about how, abuse in the modern society is looking a bit different, because now we have makeup. You tapewa black eye, upake concealer, ukuje kwa panel na sisi, we go on like nothing is happening. And when we ask you, because these days the society is very individualistic, you don't want people in your business like that. And when someone is abusing you, they isolate you. They try to make you feel like, don't tell Nani, don't tell. When I say don't call Ken and don't call CJ, I'm not saying shut up na ma issues zako. Nasema kama ni abuse, leave.
If your life is in danger, run for safety first.
Yes.
Leave.
Run for safety first.
Hizo ma-advice zingine tutakupea after you are safe, after you are, level-headed, after you are a bit settled. So for me, the deal breaker is any abusive situation. It doesn't just have to be abusive, like physically, something we can see. It can be emotional abuse, it can be financial abuse, it can be socio-economic abuse, it can be anything. Someone, kila siku mtu tu ana. Sometimes these abuses, they don't come as violence all the time. Sometimes it's just, Safini, uko sure utavaa your dress? Uko sure? Uko sure unakaa vizuri?
Niko sure nakaa vizuri.
Sawa, enda tu. So now in your head, you're thinking, what's wrong with my dress? Am I okay? Am I, And you don't realize how it drains you the whole day. Because someone who's genuine will just tell you, I don't like that dress, or that dress doesn't look flattering, do this, or it's beautiful, or whatever. But they will be more direct with you. The communication is better. It has empathy. It makes you feel loved and cared for. So the consistent thing you're feeling, ask yourself, am I feeling happy? Am I feeling loved? Am I appreciated? And this is not feelings you'll feel all the time. Sometimes you will be sad in your relationship. You will go through tribulations, grief, loss. You will go through things in the relationship. But even through this, remember, I say the feeling of love and being wanted and being cared for is consistent, even if you're fighting.
All right. And sometimes leaving doesn't mean like you've made the decision to leave. It could just be that you're taking a break so that you seek all these things that you need to seek to really make a good decision. So like she says, if you're not safe, you can choose to walk out, to take a break and breathe so that you can think about what's the next way forward. CJ, there's something she said about feeling happy, feeling peaceful, feeling loved. You've interacted with quite a number of couples, I want to assume. There are people who, I assume, made the decision to stay when things were not that hot and rosy and warm and they were not lovey-dovey and stuff, and it ended up being the best decision they made. Do we have those today?
Well,
Can you stay when you're not feeling loved? Can you fight for love when there's no really reason to fight?
Yeah, you're looking at 22 years. It's not always happy. It's not always rosy. And plus, if you had 5 years of courtship, 27 years of knowing the same person, if I were to talk just about myself, you have to go through the various seasons. The challenge with, I get where Bobby's coming from, but the challenge with that is that you get people who nearly develop addictions. Addiction for the high. So the moment there's no high in the relationship, they're out, they look for the next high. And then when there's no high over there, again, they look for the next high. So they judge the relationship based on the highs that they feel. So it becomes nearly an addiction. The reason why you need to think out this process is not to eliminate your emotion. It is to stabilize it so that you know that this is your highs for the right reason. If it is, for example, what Kitty talked about, it is for the cash. What happens when this person runs out of the money? If it is for the sex, what happens when it no longer is there? If it is because somebody will take care of you, the security, what if they lose their job? Or what if this person becomes unwell or incapacitated? So can this high be sustained? That is where the thought process must come in. And if this person can't give me a high anymore, would I want to stay here? So that I'm connecting to something that is greater. It is good to have that feeling because you can't connect with anybody who doesn't excite you. You shouldn't. There should be the attraction. But now, beyond the attraction, there should be the structure that is going to sustain this. So whatever seasons you have, you are able to keep this going, and then you know what work to put in. If you don't think about that, the first time you crash, you just let it go. So I think that a lot of people who have grown in marriage over the years have fought to stay in it, or even relationships. They fought to stay in it. There's something Kitty said that, nowadays women are very independent. And I was just thrown back to a magazine, I think it was the Eve magazine, 2003, that was talking about very successful women then. And most of them, Safin, you'd be surprised. They even left work to come back and stay home and raise their kids, and they were very successful. The entrepreneurs of this country, the women who have run the education sector, the NGOs, running now into 50 years, they were already very well educated, exposed, earning so well, even in the 80s, but they still valued family. The issue is not even the independence, it is the value system. It is our value system, because we had successful women, even way in the past. Educated, my parents' generations were people who were working. So if you look at what this generation we call their grandparents, people in their 80s and 90s, they're educated. They were working. They're not my grandparents' generation, you know. So it is a thing of you believing in this and saying, okay, well, we may have issues. Can we work out these issues? Because some issues come because of the stage you are in. You are growing, so you never thought you would get into this place. Some issues come because of circumstances that come. So you've got to look at it wholesomely and then determine whether you will stay on it or not. Right.
Today, guys will kill me, but that is the match we have. Imagine.
For real?
That's the time we have. They're short and sweet. Unfortunately, there's something we have been following up for our viewers the entire week. Actually, this week we know that